Hi everyone, Alexa here from the blog theduvallhomestead.com. Today I'm going to invite you into my kitchen for some spring cooking and show you what I'm making for my homestead and my family, and there was even a special occasion that I will show you at the end as well. So let's get started. So our chickens are finally starting to lay eggs. We're getting 2 to 3 eggs per day, which I'm just thrilled about. And so my daughter's here helping me wash them and clean them, put them away. And one of the recipes that uses a lot of eggs is lasagna. Now I've had the homemade lasagna recipe on my blog for a really long time, but it was one of my first recipes, so it just did not get photographed very well or written very well. So I'm kind of gonna go back and update it. But basically, this is going to be a cottage cheese lasagna where I use cottage cheese, a lot of eggs, herbs, of course, regular cheese, mozzarella cheese, and then there's a beef or whatever meat, that you want to use mixture as well with tomatoes. And you can throw in mushrooms, zucchini. So I actually have several vegetables in here as well. But you basically layer the lasagna noodles down, and then you do 1 layer of the cottage cheese mixture and egg, 1 layer of mozzarella cheese, 1 layer of the meat mixture, and then you repeat that, another layer of noodles, and then another layer of everything else. This recipe is so good. It's a labor of love. It takes a while to prepare all of the different pots and different mixtures. So sometimes I do that actually in advance, like the day before. And then it's easier for me when I actually go to bake the lasagna. I'll leave a link for this below. It's a great, great recipe. I was actually doing this partly because I needed to take new pictures for the recipe on the blog. Sometimes it's hard for me to photograph recipes because I'm actually cooking this real time. So I don't have a stage kitchen or something like that. And so a lot of the recipes I'm making that day for real for my family. So for example, if it's a dinner recipe, it's not going to be ready until evening. So it might be dark out unless it's summertime and I get lucky and I have a lot of light, which is happening more recently now that the light's getting, going on later. But it's just funny because sometimes I try to take pictures of food and it's dark out and it does not photograph well. I'm like, the only way I'm gonna get this picture is if I prepare this like in the morning or something. But I did get a couple pictures, so I do plan on updating my blog post for this recipe. Okay, this is a new day now, and I'm going to be experimenting with a new recipe that I did later finalize. So this is going to be sourdough discard einkorn tortillas. It's a homemade tortilla recipe, and it's very easy. It's just basically flour, water, salt, and I think I put olive oil in there. I'll have to check. I just tested it out, and it's definitely finished now, and I have since photographed it. But this is my first time testing it out, the one that you're seeing right now. And I'm trying to bounce my baby to sleep so he can get fussy and then I have to get him to go to sleep. So one thing I did learn about this recipe is in order to make homemade tortillas, you want them to be, light and dry and thin, right? It's hard sometimes when I've made this recipe in the past or similar recipes I've followed online, they come out more like naan bread, and I don't like that. I want a really thin tortilla, kind of like what you'd find from the store. So I had to really work at this. I've been actually trying to make this recipe for a few years now and make it how I like it. And one reason that I think it hasn't been turning out well is I've been using oil in my skillet. And I don't know about you guys if you've ever tried homemade tortillas, but if you don't put oil in the skillet and you just heat it up really hot, no oil, and throw your dough on there, it puffs up perfectly and it's dry and it just solved all my problems. So anyway, I'm very excited that I finally nailed this recipe down. So we make tacos all the time, probably at least once a week. So I do a homemade guac, which is my favorite part of this recipe. I actually just eat this guac plain, but I just do avocado, salt, pepper, lemon juice, garlic, and onion powder, and that's it. And then I stir it. So it's very quick, very easy guac, and it is so, so good. It's It's great for dipping chips in or putting in the tortillas. And then I just ground up a meat and I do a homemade taco seasoning with chili powder, garlic and onion powder, salt, pepper, bone broth, and it's delicious. Okay, as you can see, this is a beautiful spring day. You're gonna see a couple recipes in this video that are half winter and half spring because we've been having those days where it's like 70 and sunny and then the next day is 40 and rainy. So you never really know. But I'm going to be making pizza. This is another great go-to recipe. You've seen me make it before on this channel, but this one's gonna be with chicken. And I actually have leftover chicken. You saw me a second ago put that on the stove because I'm thawing it out. I always have a lot of chicken in the freezer, so it's very easy for me to just pull that out and thaw it out quickly for a meal like this so I don't have to make the chicken. This recipe is on the blog, so I'll leave a link below for it. It's a great recipe where you fold the corners of the dough over and it creates a really nice pizza crust. I've had a lot of people say that they really enjoy this recipe, and I agree. I also have leftover cauliflower, so I'm going to be adding that to the pizza as well. If you ever have a lot of leftovers, pizza is a great way to use them up because you can just throw on some meat, throw on some vegetables, throw on some sauce and some cheese, and you have a great meal. I love serving this kind of meal to my family because I feel like it really fills us up nicely. I don't know about you, but I don't like when I feel hungry after a meal. I know that sounds really obvious, but a meal that has protein, a healthy grain, and a vegetable is gonna make you feel pretty good. So we really enjoyed this meal today. Yes, well, they're opening it now. It looks like the sun is out, and they say, oh, and now it's a beautiful rainbow. The little green bar. Okay, so this was one of the colder days I was telling you about, and another way that I try to be efficient in my kitchen is by preparing a lot of food at once and then having leftovers, which that does not sound like a revolutionary idea, but so pizza is one way I like to use leftovers, and then soup is another way I like to use leftovers because, again, the meat can already be kind of cooked. That's not really what I'm doing here. As you can see, I'm using beef chunks for this beef stew, but in theory, you could have leftover shredded pork or chicken and whatever and just throw it in the soup as well as vegetables. The idea is that you're reusing the leftovers in a different meal, whereas usually I think of saving leftovers to eat the same meal again, like more of the same meal. But lately I've realized that it's actually a lot easier to just save leftover pieces of meat or vegetable and then just use them in another meal. And pizza and soup are the two ways I find that work really well for that method. So this is a classic beef stew recipe. I have this one on my blog as well. And it's got some red wine in it, beef chunks, carrot, onion, garlic, some herbs, a lot of bone broth, and it really hits the spot on the colder days. I know many people put potatoes in their beef stew, and I do that too. And I'll eat it, but my favorite is pasta with soup. I love pouring soup over pasta and then cheese on top. So that's what we did today. Okay, this is gonna be a very quick lunch. I think we had an event in the morning or a play date or something, and so I kind of had to whip this up pretty fast. So I have some chicken thighs, which I love to cook on a cast iron skillet because they stay very moist, to my surprise. I could just put them on the skillet with butter and some seasoning and they'll turn out great every time. I'm also gonna steam some broccoli and make rice in the Instant Pot. So it's my go-to, really. It's the protein, the vegetable, and the carb, and it makes a great meal every time. I love to use bone broth for my rice in the Instant Pot. On steamed vegetables, I love to put butter and salt. My toddler loves it, everyone loves it like this. On this day, as you can see, everyone's hungry. My husband, you can probably hear him in the background saying, "Is this ready yet?" And so we just chow down together. My husband works from home, and we're very lucky about that. So he gets to come out and eat lunch with us every single day. Although here, he actually probably had to go to a meeting, which is why he's not in the picture. This is later that day, I think. I'm wearing the same shirt, so I'm assuming it's later that day. I'm making some roasted Brussels sprouts for a yummy dinner. This is also a butternut squash that I'm preparing for a different meal that's actually not in this video, but this is more leftover chicken that I have in the freezer. I'm thawing this out. And I'm going to create a really good white sauce to go with this chicken. Again, I'm a big pasta lover, so this is gonna go on top of a pasta. It seems like, I can't remember exactly, but I'm assuming this was probably on a Monday or a Sunday. No, it couldn't have been Sunday because we go to my parents' house. So this is a Monday, and I'm probably out of food. So that's why you see me using a lot of frozen leftover meat and quick veggies, quick meals like this, because I haven't gone to the store. I probably am gonna go to the store the next day. So I'm gonna whip up some pasta, some creamy white sauce. For that, I just used cream, some seasonings, milk, and cheese. Poured it over the top of the chicken and the Brussels sprouts with the pasta, and it was so good, so decadent and delicious. Yes, I'll get that for you. I'm very patient. Okay, so we've been so busy around here, and one reason is because of birthdays. We have 3 birthdays in a 2-week period, and also Easter fell in that 2-week period. So that's a total of 4 holidays in 2 weeks, which was a lot. And we have been celebrating each person's birthday. My birthday is the last one. In fact, when you see this video, it probably is my birthday that day. I'm the last of the 3 birthdays. This birthday I'm preparing for is my husband's. He loves ice cream cake, and I created homemade ice cream cake for him last year, and he has loved it ever since. I have the whole tutorial for this on my blog. But basically, you make 2 basic cakes, you put ice cream in a cake mold and let it sit in the freezer. Everything is frozen, and then you just assemble it and you cover it with a really nice whipped cream frosting. So here you see me do this the day of. You'll see, I'll show a clip, later of the actual birthday party that we had for him, but this is me assembling the cake, hoping that it fits and is not lopsided, because sometimes it is. But this is such a great cake, especially if you like ice cream. I normally would like to prepare homemade ice cream, but he specifically requested Ben & Jerry's, so that's what I did for him. What I love about this recipe is that it can live in the freezer, so it's doesn't go bad. I mean, it's eventually going to, I guess, but you can put it in there, you can make ahead of time, 3 days ahead of time, 5 days, whatever you want. And so it just takes the stress off of a birthday. Sometimes it's stressful getting cakes and everything ready for the actual birthday itself when you're also doing, presents or whatever. And so I got this ready for him. I prepared it, the final touches. You're seeing this right before his actual birthday. And here we are. So he was the first birthday, and then my dad's birthday was the next weekend, and then my birthday is in a couple days. And so you're probably seeing this on my birthday. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me for some cooking in the Homestead kitchen. I'm so glad you joined me, and if you're brand new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. Every week I post a new video on farm-to-table recipes and homemade natural living. Thanks so much for stopping by the Homestead.